Welcome back to the next task, task number 48 in the strings chapter. Here we are going to write a program to check if the entered string is a palindrome or not. Okay, so basically a palindrome is nothing but if you read the string in the reverse order, it will be same as uh, the original string. Okay, so like for example, madam, right? So whether you read it from left to right or from right to left, it spells the same. Okay, so those kinds of words are called palindrome, right? This is a palindrome string, right? So we have to write a program to check if the entered string is a palindrome or not. Okay, so let's begin. So basically we are going to start from the last program itself, right? Because we have to find the length of the string, right? So we are going to use the same program that we have written in the last task, right, where we have found the length of the string, right? So it is the same program where we have checked if it's a null character, and then we have incremented if it's not, and at the end if it's null, then whatever is the value of I, that is the your length of the string, right? So now what I'm going to do is I don't want to print this, right? That is not my result. Now I will take another variable called, let's say, length. Okay, and that will be the length of my string, right? So length is equal to I. Okay, so that is done. So now once that part is done, I have the length stored inside length. Okay, and now what you have to do is I just have to check if the first and the last, similarly the second and the second last, these digits should be equal, right? Now to check that, I have to run a for loop, right? So to do that, I will just write if sorry, I have to run a for loop, right? So I will start with a for loop, and here again I will start from I, and I equal to 0 till I less than length, right? So this is the reason why I stored length inside this variable, so that again when I use I, this value of I is not lost, right? So then I will do I plus plus. So this is my this is the string that I'm going to use, right? Now after this, I'm just going to do a if condition. If, and after that I'm going to check if the message at I must, if it is not equal to, if it is not equal, then obviously it is not a palindrome, right? So I will just write message. Okay, so message at I, if it is not equal to message at, so now I have to check the last digit. So if I is equal to 0, then this has to be the last digit that I'm checking, right? So this should be length minus I. Okay, so whatever is the length minus I. Like for example, if I have entered hello, so the length is equal to 5, right? So for the string hello, the length is 5, right? So basically this will be message of I, that is message of 0 for the first iteration, message of 0 into length is 5, so 5 minus 0, that will be equal to 5. So if it is message of 0 and message of 5, so I'm checking the 0 and the 5th, so that will be incorrect, right? Because let me just show you what I mean. So the first character is index is starting at 0, then 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? And if you see, the last character's index is 4, so actually I should be checking 0 and 4, right? That means this should be length minus 1. Okay, so whatever is the length, I should because my index is starting from 0, so my length will be length minus 1. That will be my last digit, right? So now if you look at it, this will be message 0, right? So this will be 0, message 0, and this will be message of length is 5 minus 1 4, 4 minus 0, so this will be 4. Okay, so this will be message of 4, right? So message of 0, message of 4. So I'm going to check whether H and O are equal or not. Okay, so in this case it is not equal, right? So this is not a palindrome, right? If it is not equal, then I would simply say printf it's not a palindrome. Okay, and after that, even if one string, one of the set of characters does not match, that means I do not need to check the remaining characters, right? So I can simply quit the program. Okay, so whenever you want to quit the program, you just write return 0, right? So this is how you have found out whether it's not a palindrome. Okay, and now if this completes, okay, so if this particular steps, all the characters are checked, and if everything is equal, okay, if all the characters are equal, then that simply means that this is a palindrome, right? So here I will just come out of the loop, and here I will say it is a palindrome. Okay, so this is the program. We will optimize it a little, but before that we will just try to run it and see if it works. I will put hello first, which is not a palindrome. Perfect. And now I would put let's say ma'am, which is a palindrome, right? I will put race car, which is also a palindrome. So our logic works, right? So once this is done, we can optimize it a little bit, because what we are trying to do is, we are, let's say for example, let's take race car, right? So we are checking the first and the last digit, right? Then this and the second digit, right? And then the third digit and the so basically you are coming till here, that is the fourth digit, and then going back and checking the same thing again, right? So basically you need not check everything, right? After you have checked half of them, automatically the other half will be correct, right? Because you are checking from both the directions, right? So I can simply say this will also work. This is just an optimization, right? So I can do length of 2, like length divide by 2. Okay, so this will give me, let's say for example, if my length is 5, okay, so 5 divided by 2 will give me 2.5, right? So I should have I should run at least till 3, right? Because if my length is 5 and if I divide it by 2, I get the result as 2.5, right? But because it is an integer, it will be storing only 2, right? Now since I have to run at least 1 greater than the half, so I have to add 1 to this, right? So I have to run at least for 3 iteration. Okay, now if you look at this may not be much of a improvement, but at least I am saving 2 iterations. Okay, so when the number of then the length of the string is much higher, that time this logic will help a lot. Okay, so let me just add 1 to this particular equation. Okay, so I will just add plus 1 and the bracket closed. Okay, so this will now work. Okay, so let me just try again. Race car, it's a palindrome, right? Now the advantage here is, let's suppose your string is of size, let's say 35. Okay, so you have entered a palindrome string of size 35. Okay, it's not going to be, there may not be too many words of that size, but still, let's suppose you entered a string of size 35, then in that case this for loop will be running for 35 iterations, right? But if you do this particular optimization, then what happens is you divide the length by 2 first, right? So the number of iterations now is, so it is going to be 17.5, right? And since it is integer, so this will be rounded off, it will be the value will be 17. Okay, and now I will be adding 1 to it, so the final iteration will be 18. Okay, so just look at it. Before we were running 35 iterations, and now after our optimization we are just running 18 iterations and still finding out whether the string is palindrome or not, right? So that is a good optimization trick. Okay, so I hope you have understood this particular logic. So this was the program to find a string is palindrome or not. Okay, now before I finish, I would like to show you one more thing. Okay, so since I have told you that many of the functions of the strings can be done with the help of string library also. Okay, so we are going to replace this particular logic with with the help of string library function. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. We need do not need that, let's suppose. Okay, and now we have to find the length of the string, right? Now to find the length of the string, we can use a library function, and for that we have to include the library function first. So the library is string.h. Okay, so once that is included, then we have lots of different functions that we can use. One of them is string length. Okay, so strlen. Okay, so inside that you just give the string for which you want the length to be found out, right? And it gives you the length. Okay, so you can see I have used the library function to find out the length of the string. Okay, now let's run this for one last time, and let's put the value race car. Okay, and it still works. Okay, so I've shown you both the methods with the help of string and with string library and the manual method, right? So I hope you have understood. So this finishes with this task. We will see you in the next task.